So my name's Kristin Bailey, and I live in Ely, Cambridgeshire, and I work out of a little studio in my back garden. During lockdown, as everybody else, we couldn't go to church, so I started watching church on a Sunday, and I would paint throughout the church service. I felt like I was entering a thin place where it was easier to connect with God. I wasn't thinking about what I was painting because I was painting abstract, so there was no particular picture that I was trying to form. I was really just throwing colours on a bit of paper, and it became part of my natural way to worship. Etheldreda, Julian of Norwich, Saint Fotini, otherwise known as most commonly known as the Samaritan woman, Mary, Mother of Jesus, and I'm in the process at the moment of painting Siaksberg, Wendrith and Whitburg, Etheldreda's sisters. These women have got really strong stories. They all sorts of different attributes and qualities and gifts. They've used who they are, who they're made to be by God, to change the world around them. That's what inspires me. I think we all have the capability to change the world around us, and we all have individual gifts. It might be that you're really good at playing football, or you're great at dancing, or it might be something more sad. It might be that you're poorly a lot of the time. Sometimes it's the stories and the things that we've gone through that changes the world around us and how we handle them. And I think that should be celebrated, whether you're a woman or a man, a boy or a girl. So this one is Saint Fotini. The Orthodox Church actually named her. She was a Samaritan, which was a group of people that lived near to the Jews, but they really didn't get on. If you were Jewish, you weren't allowed to even drink out of the same cup as a Samaritan person. And Jesus, on his travels, purposefully went to a well. He sat on the well waiting. It was noon, so it was the middle of the day, the hottest part of the day, which ordinarily women would never go to collect their water at noon. The only reason she went at noon was because none of the other ladies in her community would talk to her. So she was Samaritan, the lowest of the low religiously. She was a woman, so the lowest of the low gender-wise. But even within her Samaritan status, she was unkindly thought of. At the front there, you've got the well, and in front of it is the cup, I don't know what they called them actually, the bucket that she took to fill with water that she threw and left behind. She was so excited by what Jesus had said, she left it behind and ran back to the town. So we've got the town in the background, because after speaking to Jesus and him giving her living water, which you can see flowing out of her veil, she ran back and told the whole town. Now this is a town that didn't speak to her, but they were so impressed and intrigued by what she said, they came out and spoke to Jesus. So she's arguably the first female preacher. So that's Julian of Norwich. So she was a lady, again, we don't actually know her name. Her name comes from the church that she became an anchoress in. An anchoress is almost like a nun. They give their lives away completely to God, but instead of living in a community with others, they live on their own, in a small cell, it's called, next to a church. And her cell would have had a small window, this is the window here. So the window was there so that she could look into the church and join in with the services. But she also had another window, and that was onto the streets. And while she was in her cell, she would spend her time praying. But also people would come to the window on the street and she would pray for them. So you would go and you'd tell all your problems, and she'd be there to listen and she'd pray for you. But she also wrote a book. In fact, she was the first woman to write a book in English. So she's holding a book in her hand, and she's holding a little hazelnut. hazelnuts were used for everything when she was alive, so they'd be ground down for flour and all sorts. And she had one of her visions when she was praying. She felt that God was saying to her how important even this tiny little object was, because it was a creation of his. I don't know if you can see on the picture, but there are words from her book written into her halo. And also, which probably isn't very clear at all, here, can you see raised?
Yes.
There's a cat's tail. Because while she was holed up in her little cell, she had a cat because it would get rid of mice. So, and she was said to absolutely adore her cat, so she's become the patron saint of cats. One of the things that I haven't done for myself yet, so I'm asking you to do something I haven't done. So maybe I have to make a promise now that this next couple of months I will paint myself as a saint. And I think it'd be really cool if the children did the same. What you need to do is go away and probably write down things about yourself and about your life. All the things that you love, the things you love doing, your gifts, the things that change the atmosphere around you. It'd probably be a really good thing that they could do in pairs to start with. And then add things that are important to them, like I say, whether it's playing football, dancing, writing, reading.
So this will end up as a picture to tell their story, a snapshot of who they are, with all their talents and gifts that God can use in their own life.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. All of the things that we are, the people we are, is who God's made us to be.